This video is a quick preview of the Hisense A5 Pro CC Color e-ink phone. I've only had this for a day or so, and so I'm still kind of in the process of getting it set up the way I like it. But I wanted to give people a chance to take a look at this in case they're interested in purchasing it. I got this from Good e-Reader. This is for sale only, generally only in China, but they will import it. It's a Canadian company, but they ship to the United States. I've changed the lock screen, and I've had to do a lot to it to hide all of the Chinese language and features, but it's working pretty well. So underneath, it's running Android, and unfortunately, it doesn't have any Google Play services. And so all the apps, you're going to generally have to sideload everything. And I've loaded the Kindle app on it, and it works really well. Because it's a small device, much smaller than a normal e-reader, you're going to have to make the font pretty large and make it bold. But it works really well, and I've noticed that when you're reading even long materials, it really doesn't matter how small the screen is, because you're reading a paragraph or two, and then when you get to the end of the paragraph, you just switch to the page, and it's really convenient. And it's great with the Kindle app because it syncs across your other devices. And so if you have a Kindle e-reader, or if you use the Fire tablet or the Kindle app on Android device or an iPad, it will sync all of those, so you're always on the same page. And if you use Audible and you have the Audible version of the book, it's likely to have a sync, so you can switch back and forth between the text and the audio, which is a really awesome feature. One of the things that's pretty annoying to me so far is the buttons are reversed from most of the Android phones I've used, and so I usually want to go over here to bring up the application switcher and the tool to use to close the apps, but it's actually on the left side here, and this button over here, see if we can bring that back up. It gives you a brightness level for the backlight, and I've got it on auto right now. You can shut it off. You can switch it to night mode, or just manually adjust it. The other thing is there is a display mode, and so clear mode is the full fresh resolution every time you change a page in a book, for example. But it's incredibly slow. Speed is the grainiest version of the display, but it's fast enough to actually be able to look at a website, and you can sort of look at videos. Since we're talking about that, the resolution on this phone is horrendous. It's really terrible. But if you don't compare this to a modern smartphone side by side, you quickly get used to it. So the pixels per inch is really low. You can definitely see the pixels on this, but you do quickly get used to it, especially with text. But if you're looking at photos, if you're looking at video, it's awful. I mean, this is not something that you really want to use for that. It's kind of a last resort. But it's there. So another app I've sideloaded is Microsoft Word, and so that seems to work just fine. And it looks like you can dictate, and so I can bring up a document, and it loads it, and it looks pretty much just like any other Android version of it, and so it's pretty nice. I like it. I'm glad that I could do that. Unfortunately, the apps that you might want to use from Google, they're not going to work. They're actually blocked. And that's because they don't have the Google Play services, and that's because Google basically has a monopoly. So there's not really anything you can do about that. Let's see. I've added the Dashlane password manager. I'm not going to open that, but it works just fine. Because you can't get the Google Play Store, I've added the Amazon App Store. That works just fine. That is really limited. However, it's nothing like Google Play. It's got like 5% of the apps maybe. So I've got this, I think it's called Aptoid app, or maybe Aptoide app. And so you can download pretty much anything. The risk with this is many of them are sketchy versions, so you have to be really careful downloading this, but it's kind of the only way to get some of these apps. I have downloaded Firefox to use as a web browser, and that's really important because the Chinese browser that comes with it is going to be really difficult to use. I changed the app launcher because the one that comes with it is absolutely terrible, and so I'm using the Nova launcher, but I'm going to find one that works better with the e-ink display, so one with basically no animation, which would be perfect and super simple, high contrast. I've downloaded the Calm app and the Calm Radio app. It actually works really well. It does have a built-in speaker, but of course that's garbage, so you want to use Bluetooth. Let's see, what other apps? So I've got, again, Word and Excel, and then, bring this up. New York Times works really well. That's been just fine. Unfortunately, so the keyboard on this thing was terrible when I got it, and so I downloaded the Google keyboard, which gives you some really great features. Let me see if I can bring that up. Well, this isn't it. Unfortunately, with Android, a lot of the interface is really inconsistent. So sometimes you'll see the Google keyboard, or sometimes you'll see a different one. Another thing you might notice is that there's ghosting on this phone. Even in the slowest mode, you'll sometimes see it. So if you tap this, double tap it. Oop, I did a single tap. You'll see I've installed Alexa. I hope that works just fine. So you can use a voice assistant, but you cannot use the Google Assistant because Google blocks you from installing it without their services installed. So if you double tap this, you'll see the phone refresh. Sorry, I can't get it to work because I'm doing this one-handed. Let me just see if I can find some additional apps here. Here we go. I use a digital notebook, so the Remarkable app works on this fine. The Scribed app works, and that's really nice. So it's about $10 a month. You get unlimited books, audiobooks, magazines, although the magazines are kind of, you get the articles, but you don't get the full magazine experience. I have not been able to get the Zenio app to work. That is magazines, and you could have your digital subscriptions on there, but again, haven't been able to get it to work. I have a dictionary on here that works just fine. Let's see if there's anything else. A Moon Reader, so I downloaded that as a book reading device. So if you've got something that's like EPUB format or something else that you haven't gotten from the official Amazon Kindle store, that's a really good place to put that. The Medium app, that's one that does not work, which really stinks because what that is basically blogs. It's like a subscription service, and so you can read a lot of blogs without any advertisements, and it's a nice way to support the content providers. If you click on it and open it, you'll see that it won't run without Google Play services, and you'll get that on a lot of apps. Again, that's all because Google is running a monopoly. So these same apps will work on an iPhone, and they don't have Google Play services there, so we know it's completely possible to do these things without Google Play services. It's just that they've made some shady deals. I've got the ES File Explorer. I haven't really messed around with that much, so I can't comment yet. Dropbox works fine. It's really nice, a good way to get documents on here. And again, I've got Calm Radio and I've got Calm. Let me get out of this. Oh, there's a lot of errors on this. Calendar. So what I've done is, this is a phone. I have not put in a SIM card. And that was intentional because I want to use this as basically mostly a reading device. So I'm not going to get any alerts from email. I'm not going to get any alerts from text messages. I'm not going to get interruptions from social media. So I didn't put Twitter on here. I don't use Facebook because it's evil. So any of those things I haven't put on here. You can't load YouTube because that requires Google Play services, but it would look like garbage anyway. So it's not something I'd recommend. Another quick thing I just want to mention is that when you're using the keyboard, you need to type incredibly slowly. If you type fast, it's not going to register your taps usually, and so it looks faster than what it is. And depending on which keyboard pops up, this is not the Google keyboard. This is a different one. But depending on which one comes up, it can be really horrendous typing in. So as long as you pace yourself, it's fine. But you're definitely not going to want to. Type a lot of text in this because it's terrible. But it's a great reading device. The battery's been great. I used it for many hours yesterday, and I've used it just a little bit today, and I'm still at 48%, which is awesome. A reviewer of this phone mentioned that person thought that this phone always looks terrible if you shut off the backlight, but it works just fine for me. I don't have a problem with that. The phone is extremely reflective, and that's not horrible, really. But what it means is you have to be really careful with your viewing angle. So if you don't hold the phone just right or prop it up just right, like you can see in this video, there's reflections all over. So if you hold it just right, it's fine. You're not going to have an issue with it at all. It looks okay. I'm going to keep using this phone for a while, but I wanted to give people a chance to take a look at it in case they were thinking about this. And if you have questions, you can certainly send them to me. As I continue using it, I'll give people a longer, kind of more in-depth review of some of the pros and cons of this. One last thing I want to mention before I close this out is the quality of the screen. Again, it's very low resolution, and it doesn't have very many colors. It's only got 4,000 some colors, and so it's not going to look photorealistic. It's not going to look great. It doesn't even look like a magazine, for example, but it really does a good job of simulating what a newspaper looks like, what like a color newspaper looks like. So newspapers really don't look great. But they work for what they do. They're easy on the eyes, and if there's a color photo there, you get the point of what it's supposed to be. But it's not really gorgeous. It's not like a magazine. It's not like a 4K TV. It's not like being in a movie theater. It just gives you that taste of it, and that's it. And I think this does a really good job at that. But you just have to have those limitations in mind if this is something you're considering. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments, and I'll do my best to get back to you.